Welcome everybody back to the Gamecock Dynasty here in College Football Revamped. We have finally made it to 9-0 in one of our seasons. Typically before this, we fell to a team or got upset by a team that we probably, if we're being honest, shouldn't have lost to. But today, we are 9-0 as we take our talents into Williams-Brice Stadium here in Columbia, South Carolina to take on another highly ranked team, the number 10 Florida Gators. They have lost a few games, but they still have a lot of talent on this roster, including veteran quarterback and former Heisman winner Anthony Richardson. So do not let this Gators offense and defense fool you by having a couple of losses in their loss column. They are number 10 in the country for a reason, and Montrell Johnson Jr. is going to try and show us just why, as he has a nice run, 6 yards. MJ has 844 yards there on the ground for the year and a couple of 6 touchdowns or so. 3rd and 4 now. Anthony Richardson, this one barely gets in there to Aaron Bray. That's a 5-yard catch for the Gators as they get their first down of the day. Now Anthony Richardson, he sends his man in motion. You've got to look out for running with this offense, and he tries to do it right here, but he runs into his own man, gets slowed down, and Kawan Banks is going to send a message early in this one. Don't even try us, AR. You are not going to be able to get past this line. At least that's what we're hoping. It will last the entire game. 3rd and 16 is intercepted. O'Donnell Fortune spinning backwards, and he's going to return this one past the 30, past the 15, or down to about the 18, I should say, past the 20 rather than past the 15. But what a beautiful athletic interception by O'Donnell Fortune. That is just the 7th interception thrown by Anthony Richardson this year, and this is a great read by O'Donnell Fortune. He does a great job just to turn around and get the ball. So now the Gamecocks start in great field position. Julius Canary is going to run out of the pocket, showing his athleticism. He knows there's an athlete behind the line of scrimmage on the other side of the field. So now he wants to maybe show that he can do just everything AR can do, maybe a little bit better. 3rd and 1, they would finish that one off with a 5-yard run. So now we're a 2nd and goal. Julius Canary wants to throw. He throws it behind Rucker, and Rucker would have had a touchdown walking untouched, but instead it's a 3rd and goal from about the 3-yard line, maybe the 2.5. It's going to be a play action. Canary wants to go to the end zone, and he misses 2 completely wide open receivers. So the pressure getting to Julius Canary so far. 4th and goal. Canary fires, and it's missed again. Corey Collier Jr. will get the deflection statistically, but that one was just thrown about 8 yards too far to the left. The Gators, though, pinned deep in their own field position. 3rd and 7. Richardson, he's going to want to throw this one again. Standing in the end zone a whole lot of time, but this one's caught by Burke, rumbling down the left side of the field. 30 yards later, Marcus Burke saving the Gators from going 3 and out after a crucial stop on 4th down. They're going to go back to Montrell Johnson. He's going to have a nice run across the Gamecock logo there, 6 yards. And now it's a 2nd and 4 as we reach the final 3 minutes of this first quarter. AR-15 gives it to Johnson again. He breaks a few tackles and leaps forward for 5 yards there on that one. 2nd and 6 now. Anthony Richardson out of the shotgun later on that same drive. They're going to keep it on the ground. Montrell Johnson's cut down, but he falls forward a couple 12 yards later. A nice few runs there for MJ Jr. And now 2nd and 3. Anthony Richardson, a quick pass. And that one, man, it would have been intercepted if Anthony or Keenan Nelson could have had his head turned around. Instead, they're going to go to Trevor Etienne, and he'll do everything he can just to get a 3-yard first down run. And the Gamecocks now 1st and goal facing the Gators offense. It's a play action. Standing back, AR takes off, gets the block he needs, and Anthony Nelson or Keenan Nelson Jr. is a little too late. And just like that, AR-15 finds himself in the end zone, so the Gamecocks need to answer here. 7-0, 2nd and 6. Canary rolls out, plants his feet, fires, and it's intercepted. This one was right into the hands of McMillan, who breaks free, but he's tripped up by Scott Hall. He could have had a pick 6. That one, I'm not sure right exactly where Canary was going with the ball, but it is an interception nonetheless, and the Gamecocks offense is very, very, very scared right now because they are putting their defense back on the field after they were just on a very long drive. AR-15 going to try and capitalize off of that with a big first down run on 3rd and 2. He broke a tackle in the backfield. He got 4 yards, not a lot, but just enough to make things happen there on 3rd and 2. Now 2nd and 3, 6.5 minutes remain in the second. AR-15 is going to pitch it. MJ to the right side, and he's rustled down. I was going to say ruffled down. This is not sponsored, I can assure you. But he is wrestled down in the secondary, so they're going to keep it with him. 2nd and goal. Montrell Johnson is going to be hit at about the 3, so a 4-yard gain. And now 3rd and goal. AR-15 under center. I know he doesn't want to be called that in real life, but he's going to be called that in this series because he is throwing bullets right now. 4 yards into coverage. Marcus Burt comes down with it. It hit both of his hands. And the Gamecocks trail 14-0 now. 1st and 10. Canary is going to finally get a nice completion to Sampson, who's going to make a man miss and break a few tackles. He's still moving down the field past the 40, down at about the 35-yard line. Mark him at the 34. Beautifully run curl route. He jukes the first man, Marshall, breaks the 2nd and the 3rd, gets past the 4th, and then he finally breaks a 5th one, actually. And now a 1st and 10 off of the big catch and run. Now a read option. Canary's got some blocking up the middle of the field. Can he beat the last man? And he tripped him up, but he stays up on his feet. Touchdown, Julius Canary. 35 yards, and he is showing that he is much more than a pocket passer today with his legs. Anthony Richardson on 3rd and 7 is going to go to Aaron Bray, but that one falls out of bounds. So that's a 2-yard catch, and the Gamecocks get the ball back with a statement here. If they can score again, Canary on 3rd and 4 is going to take off. He beats the man off the line, and he had nobody there until he got to about the 30-yard line. He was wrestled down by the secondary, but a beautiful, beautiful run now. 2nd and 11, Canary all alone in the backfield. Gets a haul across the middle. Oh, I wish he could have stayed on his feet. Instead, he trips up, and now it's a 1st and 10. Julius Canary to the end zone. Touchdown. Why not Landon Sampson? He ran the curl route to perfection last time. This time, it was a little bit better as it's in the end zone. He does a perfect job of stopping right across the goal line. And the Gamecocks tie it up 14-all, so the Gators have 1 minute and 16 seconds to try and get down the field and try and add to this score as it is 14 to 14 here. Anthony Richardson on 2nd and 3. The Gators did use one of their timeouts. This time he's going to run. The block is picked up, so he's got some nice space to rumble down the field across into the red zone for the Gamecocks defense. 2nd and 6 now later on the same drive. AR-15 wants to run. This time he's sacked by Rory Patrick. Probably going to be a face mask, and indeed it is. So the Gators automatic half the distance to the goal. 2nd and goal now around the 6-yard line. AR-15 wants to go to the end zone. He's got a man open. Dejon Reynolds settles in the back of the corner of the end zone. And the Gamecocks will be down 21-14 now as we are in the 3rd quarter. Julius Canary wants to start big. And why not Scott Hall down the middle of the field? A vertical seam there. The Gamecocks 21-14 is in danger now if they can score here quick. Jay Canary is going to take the read option again. He's got all kinds of space again right down the right side. 21 yards later, 1st and goal here. Later on that same drive, Canary's going to go on the QB draw. Nobody was going to be fooled there. I thought maybe that head coach Smeems had a little bit of a trick up his sleeve. But instead, it's 2nd and goal where Canary fires to the end zone. Why not Landon Sampson again? 6 yards this time as he has another touchdown. This one's off a slant where he just beats his man off the line of scrimmage, and he finds a way to get open in the end zone. And the Gamecocks tie it up 21-all now. 2nd and 8 for the Gators. Just going to try a run with Montrell Johnson. Fairly successful. He's got a couple yards. Going to make it a 3rd and medium. AR-15 has Johnson to his left. He is going to call a man in motion. He takes the snap. Loud crowd here at Williams-Bryson. Johnson off the screen. Can't get anywhere. Matter of fact, he loses 3 yards. And the blocking there was very, very subpar. So now the Gamecocks face a 3rd and 10 of their own. Canary trying to use his legs again to get the first down. This time he does again, and he's got it across the 45, sliding at the 46. He just used his great athleticism to get around the edge. And after that, I mean, it's a very, very open field until you get about 10 yards down the field. And now 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. Play action Canary. He's got a big blitz coming at him. He's going to sling it deep downfield across the 20. Rucker makes the catch. Touchdown. 55 yards for the Gamecocks, and Corey Rucker, he's on the board here in Williams-Brice Stadium after a magnificent week last week. He continues that with a big, big catch there on the PA concept. And the Gamecocks take a 7-point lead, their first of the day. 1st and 10 for AR-15. This one, oh, I thought it would have been a pick 6. O'Donnell Fortune read it like a book, and that would have been to the house, but instead they face a 3rd and 5. AR-15 wants to throw it under pressure. He's wrapped up by Rory Patrick, the all-time season sack leader for the Gamecocks. He has 2 today. That's going to put him at 16 for the season. He just beats his man off the line of scrimmage, and that was no contest there. Julius Canary now back on the offensive side of the ball. He's trying to get the Gamecocks an insurmountable lead here. 3rd and 2, though, they face here right around the midfield line. It's going to be a run to Lloyd, and he's just brought down in the backfield. So the Gamecocks trying not to choke, but the Gators do a great job defensively. Only thing for them is their offense has disappeared in the second half, and that's going to continue as the pass rush gets through again. Anthony Richardson's going to lose 4. That time it's Stone Blanton, but I mean, I'm going to call it a committee. And 3rd and 15, the Gators' D offense has been in a box this entire second half, and they continue to do so. Dejon Reynolds was the check down, so for whatever reason, AR-15 went to it. And the Gators' offense cannot find any consistency on 1st and 10. Marshawn's going to get the pitch from Canary. He's got a first down and then some up the left side. That's a 14-yard gain at the end of the day. 1st and 10 now. Canary's going to go to Marshawn Lloyd right down the middle on the zone. Untouched till he gets tackled about 13 yards later. 1st and goal later on that same drive. Canary play action. He's going to run to the right. Sets his feet. Wants to go to the end zone. This one's thrown to the back of the end zone, and it's intercepted. The Gamecocks offense is giving Florida every chance to tie this one back up as Julius Canary turns that over. But the Gators have to capitalize here. 2nd and 10. It's going to be a run to Trevor Etienne. He pushes him off of him the first time. Can't get much farther. Maybe made it a little bit better. Instead of a 2-yard loss, it's a 4-yard gain. But they still have another 3rd and medium here. 3rd and 6. Richardson wants to throw. It looked like a wide receiver screen, and oh my goodness, O'Donnell Fortune. His 3rd interception of the game dropped again. He has 1. He's had 2 now that he's dropped. So the Gamecocks trying to run the clock down here as they are basically looking for a way to put the dagger into this Gators defense. Canary's hit as he throws from both sides, and Rutgers got it. Touchdown, South Carolina. The Gamecocks strike from deep down the field again. Corey Rucker continues his showing, and that is another blown coverage as Julius Canary, I mean, he got hit by about 3 guys as he let go of it, but Corey Rucker just catches it in stride. The Gators now, that could have been the nail in the coffin if they can't convert here on this one. 3rd and 6 for AR. He's stumbling, tripped up by his own man, and he rolls over. He can't find his footing again. They're going to have to go for it, I would imagine, here on 4th and 9, but we'll have to wait and see. As you see, his own lineman sticks his foot out and trips. They would decide to punt it. A little shocking to me. But the Gamecocks just need to get a couple first downs, run the clock down. Julius Canary has done his job. The defense has done their job. They have ended this game since the second half. This time it's going to be a 2nd and 2. Speed option. Canary gets lit up as he pitches it. Marshawn's going to rumble for about 10 more. That's a 28-yard run. And that would pretty much seal the deal unless anything crazy is about to happen for the Gamecocks. A great, great run there by Marshawn Lloyd. And your South Carolina Gamecocks are going to win it 35-21 as your final. What a showing here by the defense. They struggled early, but they really came out and they showed them to. They did a great job of just preventing the Gators from doing anything at all on the offensive side of the ball. As you can see up top, it was enough to jump us up to number 2 in the country again. And just like that, the Gators went from up 14-0 to scoring one more touchdown the entire. They didn't score a touchdown the entire second half. They didn't score a single point the entire second half. That is a all-time turnaround by the Gamecocks. Just outstanding. More than double the offensive or total yards than the Gators had. Rushing-wise, we tripled or doubled them. Passing yards, we tripled them. They had 97. What a great job. Third down conversions, we were so good on third down. 62%. 1 of 2 for fourth downs. 3 of 3 in the red zone for the Gators. You've got to work on that, but they found their way there, and they did a good job of converting. Man, thought this was going to be a lot closer than it ended up being. Just like last year, we were able to hang a lot of points on this Gators team, and despite it being a highly touted, high-ranked matchup, we ran away with it. 23 attempts, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, almost 300 yards. Rushing-wise, Marshawn had 22, 118. Jay Canary, I mean, give this man a Medal of Honor for basically winning us this game. 10 rushes, 123 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 5 touchdowns total. And let's not forget Corey Rucker out here. 6 catches, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He has become maybe the best receiver in this series all time in just these last few weeks. Before that, I'm not going to lie, we hadn't really figured out how to use him the first, 6 weeks or so, 7 weeks or so. But these last 3 weeks, he has really showed some improvement and showed some talent. Landon Sampson was good as well, 4 for 68 and 2 touchdowns. He is going to be next up as wide receiver number 1, I imagine, but just a good showing by him. Nick Minowori led the team with 8 total tackles. We had Kawan Banks with a sack, Rory Patrick with a sack, 2 of them actually. Gilbert Edmond had a sack. O'Donnell Fortune had the interception, obviously. Man, I thought that was going to be a pick 6. That would have been a great way to start the day. The Gators, I wouldn't even say they played bad. Anthony Richardson was very conservative. He only had 97 yards. He wasn't throwing the ball down the field. As you can see, his longest pass was 30 yards, and that one was basically a catch-and-run screen. So very conservative play calling for the Gators, and that, in my opinion, might have been what ended up holding them back, because they could have easily been in this game a lot closer, in my opinion. And I do think it has a lot to do with how conservative they were. I'm going to go over, just scroll through these top 25 games. As you can see, Oklahoma won their matchup against Missouri pretty handedly. So the Sooners, 9-0 going into a matchup against us. We are also going to be 10-0 undefeated. Very nervous for that one. This Gators game itself was nerve-wracking, I've got to admit. I was so scared of losing this one. And we did it, but it's not over yet. The Buckeyes are number 5 in the country. They win 41-3 last week, technically. Syracuse is going to beat up on Clemson 42-25. Anything interesting? Auburn gives the Bulldogs their 4th loss of the season, 28-25. That game is always fun. Alabama, they have 2 losses, but they're still good at 48-7 over Mississippi State. That's going to be pretty much the extent of your top 25 matchups. You can pause and see if you guys are interested in everything else that's going on. The top 25 polls, let's look what the BCS has us at right now. As we look, we are number 2 in the BCS poll. Oregon is number 1. They still have a couple games left, obviously, at 10-0. They still have to play number 25 Washington. They also have to play their rival Oregon State. We are number 2. We have to play number 3 Oklahoma, and then Clemson, our in-state rival. Clemson, if they lose again this next week, they will not even have a chance at a bowl game. So the Tigers have a lot of pride on the line if they win this week and they go into a matchup 5-6 against us. So that's going to be an interesting game right there. The Cincinnati Bearcats have found their way into the top 4 as well. They're having a good season, but have yet to play a ranked team. So the Bearcats probably going to fall because of their strength of schedule, I would imagine. But that's going to be the top 4 right now, as we are very, very close to being in contention for the national championship, but we have to finish the season out strong if we want a chance of that. As you can see, Bucky Irving has had a great year for the Ducks. I was going to say the Duck Eyes. There, he had 19 carries, 117 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 catches for 78 yards for the Ducks. He is now #1 in the BCS or Heisman Trophy race. As you can see, Julius Canary is moving his way on up. He now has over 2,000 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He has had games, in my opinion, where he looks like he's going to take over. He's going to, become what we really need him to be. And then it's kind of, disappointed, or maybe he hasn't done exactly what I was hoping he would be able to do. But at the end of the day, he has still got us to 10-0. That's farther than Spencer Rattler got us in 2 seasons. And Braden Davis was going to get us. That's farther than Luke Doty was going to get us, Colton Gautier. So I am still very confident in him. As you can see, Marshawn still hasn't quite had that same season he had the first year. 19 touchdowns on the ground in year 1. 43 was his longest run, though, so he is a much higher volume running back that year, obviously, but he didn't get as many yards per rush like this. Last year, he was almost 7 yards per carry. This year, he's back down to about 5.6. And as for his career here in these 3 years, unfortunately, he will be graduating. He is a 648 carries, 3,782 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 105.1 yards per game, 36 touchdowns, 95 is his longest run. As you can see through the air, he's never been crazy consistent in our passing game. His first season was the highest volume with 35, then 28 the last year, and then 16 this year. Obviously, not really the main focal point of the offense. Corey Rucker, unfortunately, he's a senior, but he had 35 catches, 7 touchdowns last year. This year he has 45 catches, 9 touchdowns, but he has almost 200 more yards than he did last year through the air. And I could definitely see him getting to the 1,000-yard mark. I believe that would be the first receiver in this series to ever reach the 1,000-yard mark, I believe, in a season. So that is going to be really good for him. Landon Sampson, he has actually regressed a little bit from last year in his role. But I'm still very happy with what he has done so far, and we are going to have, for once, the recruiting class, once they start committing, it gets good. They start committing when everybody else starts committing. As you can see, we went from, in the hundreds because we only had 1 commit to number 12 in the country. We have 6 4-stars, 1 3-star, 1 2-star, and we have some good, very good players other than what you guys saw last week. A lot of these guys, obviously, were on a visit, so that's why they're going to be committing. Eugene Reed, we actually didn't even get to visit him, but he committed after our win over the Gators for whatever reason. I think that is a big win there. 75 overall, 4-star left tackle, maybe right tackle, going to immediately bolster our offensive line. Then we got the guy out of Maryland, Ryan Clayton. Remember, that's where Marshawn Lloyd came from, a speedster at the running back position. He has A speed according to the recruiting or to the scouting. He is a 4-star running back. I am so happy we were able to get Ryan Clayton to commit. That was so unexpected. Then out of Casey, South Carolina, a local man, 4-star center, John White. He is a great prospect. Unfortunately, he probably is going to regress in my opinion, but I'm still happy to get some depth there. Antoine King is another guy that committed new out of Arizona. He is a 72 overall, 3-star defensive tackle. The rest of these guys you saw, as we're going to go over some of the new prospects. Meet Anthony Freeman, a 4-star free safety, or strong safety or cornerback, whatever you want to call him. He's an athlete. He's from Virginia, or Vermont, I should say. Why did I say Virginia? I was thinking Virginia Tech when I saw VT. And Anthony is a little interested in us, so I decided to go after him. I decided to go after Larry Jack out of Elba, Alabama. You might be looking and thinking, well, he's really not that good, but he's a JUCO guy. JUCO guys tend to be better than their ratings say. And also, if we're able to convince him to come join us here, Alabama now becomes a pipeline state, and they produce some of the best quality talent around the world or around the country. So I'm interested in him. Then we have Pat Bell, a guard out of New York. He is a guy that we're going after. Same with Joe Wallace out of Easley, South Carolina. We've been going after him pretty heavily. Eli Alexander out of California, a free safety. We're going after Quentin McCauley, is a 4-star athlete out of Idaho. I'm excited about him. We've got Jamal Stallings from Iowa, I believe that is. We are actually going to go after a fullback. I'm surprised I never recruit them. We've got Bernard Cantrell, Lawrence Smith out of Gant, South Carolina, Blake Tate out of North Carolina, Joe Campbell, Sherwood, Arizona prospect, Austin Long could be good for depth, and finally, Chris Robinson out of Colorado, which we have a visit on him in the next few weeks. If not this week, I think. We may have a visit on him in the next couple of weeks. So, the class is rounding itself out. We've addressed some positions of need, and we are 10-0. I have to say right now, this is a good, very, very good season. The only need we have on the roster right now is guard, because we've already got commits from other positions. We've got a commit for our running back. We've got a commit for our wide receiver, or we don't have a commit yet for our wide receiver. We've got a commit for our tight end. We've got commits for our tackle position. Center position has committed. We are just waiting on a guard and maybe on a couple defensive depth players and a couple guys that can replace some of our higher up guys on the roster on that defensive side of the ball, because this Gamecocks roster has some holes in it that are going to be leaving this year as seniors. But before we get into that, we need to talk about this matchup. The Sooners are 9-0. They statistically are better than us when it comes to scoring the ball. They're better than us in total offense, better than us in rushing offense. Slightly, well, I wouldn't even say slightly, very much worse than us in passing offense. Total defense, they're better. Rushing defense, they're worse. Passing defense, they are much, much better. And turnover differential, they're bad, but they are much, much better than us. We're now a -7. So, the Gamecocks, or the Sooners, I should say, are not going to be a team we should play around with. They are a great, great opponent here in their first year in the SEC. And I can't lie, I'm nervous. They really haven't had a close matchup. Georgia took them down to the wire, a 1-score game there. Tennessee, they beat them by 1. They beat Florida by 1 score. But other than that, they have just been lighting up the schedule. And we've had some close calls. We barely beat Mississippi State. We squeak by Georgia. We beat ECU pretty handily. Beat Texas A&M pretty handily. Barely beat UCF by 1 score. Overtime thriller against Kentucky. Beat Tennessee by 1 score. Beat up on Missouri. Beat up on Florida. Or beat up on Vandy. Beat up on Florida there after that first half. We are taking this into the game, and we have to put everything we've learned and all the stuff we've been through this season if we want a chance to beat the Sooners here, as they have a good quarterback, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Their running back has 15 touchdowns. That is very, very impressive. So next week, we will be taking on the number 3 ranked Sooners at 9-0 in Oklahoma. Our first time facing off on one of the new SEC opponents in Texas and Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma is in our side of the division, so we're going to face them a lot more than the Texas Longhorns. But I am nervous, but confident. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below about the new recruits, the guys that have just come in. Who are you most excited to see play going forward? Because we have a lot of new faces that I'm very, very excited to come in next year and play hard. But please stay tuned for next week, because next week is going to be massive. And I want every single person to see this game against the Oklahoma Sooners. So thank you all for continuing to follow this journey here in this Gamecocks Revamped Dynasty. And I'll catch you next episode. As always, Gamecock Nation, peace.